Hey, it's so good to see you, even though I can't see you. It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood, and I'm so excited that you are here with me at the Perseverance Podcast through the Bible. And this month, we're going to be focusing on Daniel, and we're going to be looking at his story and how he persevered through his challenges. This is one incredible man who led his friends and also encouraged others to stand strong on their beliefs, and it helped him persevere from some tough times. So let's go on the journey and let's see how Daniel as an individual perseveres through his challenges. Persevering is what can allow you to overcome. But you have to find joy in the pain that you live with. It's not going to be easy. But the reward and the character that you will build in persevering through your challenges will be so rewarding. It will give you so much hope. Are you ready to persevere through your challenges? Let's do this. Today, we're looking at Daniel. He was a prophet, and he has the prophecy of the end times. And he does talk about the reign of King Nebuchadnezzar, and he does refer back to Jeremiah in regards to what he was seeing in dreams and so forth. But that's not what we're going to focus on today. If you really want to dive into this, I will have a link in the Bible app to a devotional that really would dive into the kind of the prophecy side of this. Here at the Perseverance Podcast, I really want us to focus on Daniel, his personality, and how he persevered when times were not easy. And that is what today is going to be all about. Is we're going to look at different stories. We're going to look at his life. In the moments that were challenging, what did he do to stand strong? So that way in our lives, we can also stand strong on that as well. So let's go into our first section. This is Daniel 1:8.
But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the king's dainties, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the prince of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself.
So the Israelites have been captured. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and Daniel have been taken captive, and now they're being put into the royal cleansing process to be ready. They're going to go for 3 years and then be put in front of the king. And this is during that time. Daniel did not want to defile himself in his belief in God and his vows that he made to God himself. Once you read the rest of this chapter, you'll learn he also challenged the person that was giving him the food. Just give me vegetables and give it to my fellow people, and let's see how more glowing and more healthier we look compared to the king's food. And this is a very interesting phenomena for me. If you don't know me, I don't eat vegetables. But as a whole, I find it very interesting is Daniel did not want to defile himself. In the Jewish laws, eating pork and things that were not kosher, it was considered unclean. And because of this, he really did not want to do that, and felt like he needed to stand up for it. In this case, God showed favor to the man that was feeding him the food that he was going to eat. But the man that was feeding him the food was worried what the king was going to do to him. Daniel had faith. If he stood strong on what he was doing, he was going to be able to make the person that was feeding him the food more powerful in the king's eyes. It was going to make Daniel more powerful in the king's eyes. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were also going to be healthy. And it was going to be an experience that none of them knew at this time until you read the end of the chapter, when the king saw favor in the 4 of these men. I want to encourage you today, when you look at your life, have you compromised in something in your life where it's not necessarily being kosher? It's something that you know is wrong, but you're not standing up for it? And is that what's stopping you from overcoming your challenge? Persevering through your challenge? Because a lot of times for me, when I was struggling with porn, I knew it was wrong. I knew what I was doing was wrong. I was dirtying my eyes. My eyes were so dirty and disgusting. But when I released that, God renewed me, refreshed me, made me shine even more than I ever did before. And this is what I want to encourage you today, is that just like Daniel, he stood what he felt was right, in this case, eating kosher food that were pure and of the law of Jewish customs. Are there things you're doing in your life that's holding you back from allowing you to persevere because you keep going back to things that are not helping you to make you shine brighter, be more glorified, and really draw close to God Himself? This is a tough one. You might be stuck in porn. You might be stuck in adultery. You might be stuck in alcohol, drugs, gambling. There's so many things that we can all do that impacts our lives in a way that is more damaging for us than making us pure and light. Because here's the thing is, you don't know what's on the other end of this. Just like Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they had no idea by eating vegetables what was going to be on the other side of doing what is correct and what they saw in God's eyes. God blessed it. So when you walk away from the things that are not correct, God's going to bless. You don't know what the blessing's going to be, but that's the excitement. And that's my encouragement for you today. So let's go on to our next section. This is Daniel 2:19.
Then was the secret revealed to Daniel in a vision of the night.
What's happening when Daniel gets to this point? King Nebuchadnezzar had a dream, and he said, you need to tell me what the dream was and interpret it. If you do not, then I'm going to kill all you wise men because you're all a bunch of baloney. And he got very angry, and Daniel goes and says to the king, Nebuchadnezzar, give me one day. Let me go pray to my God and see if he'll give me the dream. Because I have so much faith in my God that he will do that. And what we heard is the section where he is thanking God that he got the dream. He saw the dream, and now he knows what the dream is and can go tell Nebuchadnezzar. Daniel had such a strong relationship with God that he knew that God was going to provide for the need of this situation. We're not going to get into the details of his dream, but I want to encourage you to go read it, because it's very fascinating what ended up happening to Nebuchadnezzar and what really the dream was all about. But we're here looking at Daniel and saying, how is he having the faith that God is going to do this? In my case, I'm really questioning my own faith. If somebody told me that, I'm going to behead you today if you don't tell me the dream and interpret it by the end of the day, I'm going to be praying and praying and praying and hoping what I see or hear is true. Do you think you have that type of faith and relationship with God to have full confidence that He will provide for you in the time of death? I really want you to think about that. Do you really have the faith to persevere in the time of death? That is not easy to think about. When you're so in love with God and you know that Jesus is there for you, when times are hard, that's where the comfort is. When we face challenges, it is really important, just like Daniel, to go to God Himself because you don't know how or what he's going to provide for you in the most challenging times of your life. He could give you peace. He could give you comfort. He could give you love. There's all sorts of things that he can do. But he needs us to come to him, just like Daniel did. He came to God and said, provide me the dreams so our lives will be spared. And that's exactly what happened. How are you maintaining your hope in times that are challenging? Are you going to other people? Are you really building a relationship with God to help you do this? Are you going to a computer? Are you going to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok? Where are you putting your energy to have the hope to help you move forward? Because if it's not God himself or Jesus providing you the hope, everything else that I've said, none of that's going to fill your desires and your hope. So now let's go on to our next section. This is Daniel 6:10.
When Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house. Now his windows were open in his chamber toward Jerusalem. And he kneeled on his knees 3 times a day and prayed, and gave thanks before his God as he did before.
So let me give you the backstory of this. You have a new king, and this king has several different nations, but there's one central federal government. And the king at this point, he really found favor in Daniel. But all the other people did not like that the king was thinking about giving him all the nations, having him oversee the whole thing. So they decided, we got to find something that will end Daniel's life and get him out of our hair, and we're going to do that. So what they did, they attacked his faith, his belief of being a Jew. Because of that, Daniel's like, I believe in my God. No matter what, I'm going to still pray. Get on my knees and pray to my God. And that's what he did. And then the next verse after the verse that we heard, he gets dragged in, put in front of the king, and says, Daniel was praying to not the king, but to his God, and must be thrown into the lion's den. Well, we know the story is that he goes thrown in the lion's den. The king was very hesitant about it, but he had to do it because it was a bound law that he couldn't reverse. So throws him in there, but could not sleep, comes back, looks into the lion's den, and Daniel was not harmed. My first question to you, do you have a prayer life? Because part of persevering through your challenges is having a prayer life, meaning that you spend daily with your Jesus. You have a relationship with him, not just a picture on a shelf or a cross on your wall. This is a relationship like Daniel has, because he knew the value when he prayed and how God continued to give him understanding, wisdom, clarity, all the things that he needed. And that only came from having a prayer life with his God. My encouragement to you, if you are struggling in your perseverance in your life, where is your prayer life right now? Where is your focus in having a relationship that you talk to the God that created you, that created this world, and literally just have a relationship like you have a spouse? It truly is so much just like that. When you just have a relationship like you have in a marriage. So when you have that relationship, it is so powerful. One for me, I hunger to have every day. Nothing's going to get in my way of having time with my Jesus. Because I know if I don't do that, I won't be able to move forward. Because that is what saved me from the past. It's what saves me from my pain. It is what saves me from all of the things that are going to be challenging in this world. I mean, you think about it. Daniel was probably in that lion's den praying and just having a grand old time with his God. Because he knew his God had it all under control. Don't forget, your God has it all under control. There are times where I just want to be like Daniel. Because the amount of faith that he produces in his life, going from when he being pulled out of his home and staying true to his beliefs and wanting to stay pure for his God and eat the right food that his God requires, and willing to stand up for that, as well facing challenges of situations that could end your life, but knowing that if he trusts his God to the fullest, his God was going to come through. And then coming to the lion's den, knowing that he kept an active prayer life, and he knew that his prayer life was more important than anything else in this world. If we can be more like Daniel, how incredible will our lives be when times are challenging, when times are easy, as well when we're facing things that are threatening our time on this earth. I want to encourage you on this perseverance through the Bible with Daniel. Let's take the first steps to fall in love with God, to stand strong for what God wants us to stand strong for, push away the things that are stopping us from persevering, and as well, trust that God is going to move us forward and have hope in that as well. I want to thank you for being here with me on the Perseverance Podcast through the Bible with Daniel. And like I always say to end all my podcasts, go live beyond your challenges, and I'll see you next month. Now you're ready to persevere through your challenges today. Thank you for joining me on the Perseverance Podcast. If you'd like to get a hold of me, you can email me at kelvin@perseverancepodcast.com. You can also follow me on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Deafblind Potter. If you'd like to buy some merch or some Deafblind Potter pieces, you can go to deafblindpotter.com. Please give us a 5-star rating and subscribe to the Perseverance Podcast so you don't miss an episode. That way, you and I can continue living beyond our challenges and persevering through them too.